Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss Pre-Market Report for Friday, June 22nd, 2018. Happy Friday, everyone. I'm Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. Right now, we're seeing some interesting behavior at these highs. If you recall here, we're sitting right at the 2791s as resistance there, and each of the last several times we've sold off away from that level pretty sharply. This last time we came right into it and have backed off. We got a little bit of a buying tail here, but then a failed new high led to a close back below the midpoint of that level. Now we're kind of back up a little bit. So this is interesting behavior. 2731 to 2741 is a zone that bulls want to keep bid for a continuation. Bears, on the other hand, are trying to keep a lid on 2791's for a shot, perhaps at dropping it back toward recent support. 2600 would be a really good recent support level for that. Again, that all kind of comes to a head right here off 2731. So at the moment, kind of conflicting views here at the moment. We got a range that doesn't look very active at all, but after behavior like this, you tend to see some movement. We're still in the uptrending structure of the market, so bulls are still trying to keep that 31 to 41 zone bid, but bears trying to chip away at it. And if they are successful, we could see a quick move back toward 2669, followed by the potential to see even more weakness toward 2600. So again, we're right at the key level here. We'll continue to watch to see how the ES behaves around that zone. The NQ very similar as well. This one has been trending up very strong, still within the trending structure. Very high intensity trend here. For the most part, what we were looking at yesterday was the failed new high here above these highs. And I mentioned if price could not find acceptance above 73.20, then we could be looking at a pullback. That could take you out as far as this low and take out that low, maybe even as low as 7,000. So that pullback right there, that failure above that high, opened the door to a new low yesterday. We were shooting for 72.14.5 to about 72.20 as a target, and it got to about 26.25, which is 2 ticks below the previous low. So a very nice move yesterday. For the most part, we're sideways here. We're still trending up on the longer term time frame, and we're still finding strength basically inside the high intensity trigger zone. So that could still lead to strength this way, right? But again, if there's any failure to hold, basically any failure to get back above 7,300, we could be looking at a quick return trip back towards 7K. So right now we're kind of in that zone where it's building energy, and either the next rotation will come out of it to the upside, or we're going to see a little bit more rotation back down to entice buyers to come back into the market. Looking at the YM, this one has kind of run away with it to the downside. Major weakness here. Failure to hold above the previous month's high has led to a return back to the previous month's close. We talked about that being a potential here last week, where you had that blue dotted line right there. Price went bid off that zone, failed to hold above the previous high here, so then you come right back to it. So we've kind of completed that move right there back into 24.4. This one also continues to maintain its structure here for the most part, kind of lazy uptrending move here overall. But at the same time, this is the last line of defense, 24.4. Otherwise, you really start to see more weakness, maybe even into the 23.5s. So again, this is a big time area right here that needs to be held. A short-term bounce could get you perhaps back toward 25, and you kind of sit inside this little range right here where we've been before. So again, this is a big time zone right here for bulls to defend. Otherwise, we could be looking at a little bit more weakness toward 23,500. All right, taking a look now at crude oil. You'll notice here with crude that it continues to have bulls come into the market to defend. We just haven't seen bulls get paid. Right here, they kind of came in to try and get this thing going. They failed. Right here was a few days to try and get it up. They failed. Right here was several days of strength trying to get it above that level, and they failed. And now they're trying again off the 64.24s. They're not failing just yet, but they're not running away with the ball either. Again, 67.10 has been very, very important here, and that level right there has led to price being batted back down several times. We could see a push through it because these are bears that again rejected on these lows. some buy stops could come out if you can start to get above those 67.10s. So right now, you can definitely see where bulls are positioned, 64.24. That's the absorption point. Price trying to push and hold beyond 66s, which would open up quite a bit of upside. We have a key range that is developed on the intraday time frame for crude oil that could release quite a bit of energy that can take this thing back toward the 70s or even down as low as 59. So I mean, this energy here is pretty significant. We'll have to watch to see which way it breaks out. Now, taking a look here, lastly, we're going to look at ZB. ZB has a new key range that I've marked up. Basically, this pivot low, which is 140.04, it looks like 140.04, all the way up to this high up here, 145.27, and back to the midpoint, 143 even. That gives us a new key range there with key levels, and you'll notice how price has been holding within the middle portion of that key range. That's an energy building phase. I hesitate to say that we could see some exciting movement out of this one because for the most part it's been mostly trending down, has not seen any strength to speak of. And again, if this pattern were to break to the downside as the others have, we could be looking at quite a bit of downside selling pressure into about 137s or as low as 134s in order to reach those targets. So I mean, it could be pretty significant once this thing starts to go. So again, this one's building some energy right now, and at some point down the road here we could see expansion. Above the 145s could open it up to the upside, and below 142, 142.20 could really open up the downside big time if it really wanted to go. So again, keep an eye on ZB right now as it continues its energy building phase. We could be looking at a pretty decent little wave of movement here pretty soon out of this one. Alright, that is it for now. Let's see how this plays out heading into the rest of the session. Good luck, trade well, and happy Friday.